It's the Prentice Allsup Heating and Air Coach's Corner, fueled by Donut Country and McDonald's on 1019 100.5, 1450 WGNSSports.com and Big G TV.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by Sir Pizza, whose 3 Murfreesboro locations offer a huge selection of mouth-watering pizzas, sandwiches, pastas, and wings. Order your favorite pizza online at sirpizzatn.com. Ben Caudill, the head coach of the Stewarts Creek Redhawks, joining me. And it's kind of hard to talk from afar, but here we are. And I know a disappointing loss against Smyrna the other night. Let's talk a little bit, though, before we get to that. Smyrna is a team that has gained momentum, I would think, in the last 4 to 5 weeks. And they're playing at a pretty good pace right now.
Yeah, I think anytime, we play Smyrna, you're going to have to play well. You're going to have to, not lose the game in special teams and make fewer mistakes than the other team. I thought, we were not able to do that. On Thursday night, we had a punt blocked in the first half. We threw a pick on our side of the field and didn't get lined up correctly on their only touchdown the first 3 quarters. And so, John, in spite of all those things, we still had, the game at 10-0 heading into the fourth quarter. We kind of got put in a position where we had to start going for it on fourth down. That kind of allowed them to score a few more late.
The score, yeah. In games like that, the final score doesn't really indicate how close the game was, because you do have to take desperate measures when you're down. Let's talk about the season, really. I know I don't know that I would say it's disappointing. I think you've learned some things. I think your team has gone through a lot of adversity, I guess I would say, turns with injuries and that kind of thing. And they've kind of managed to hold their own, really.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's disappointing to me is just the fact that we had, so many great kids, so many seniors, that, weren't able to finish it on the field. I just think about guys like Ben Cunningham, who's literally, almost been in a body brace, really his entire junior and senior season, that, wasn't able to play last on Thursday night, sustained a injury against Oakland. At the same position, another senior, last week in practice, got hurt and was out for the season. Sam Bello, who had 4 touchdowns against Knox Webb just 2 weeks ago, got a concussion against, Oakland last week. And so, when I look at, the trajectory of our season, I think, to me, we had guys step up, that allowed us to, have success as the season wore on. Obviously, when our quarterback Jerry went down, week 3 against Siegel, that really changed, how we had to operate offensively. Finally we got, John, to the Blackman game where, other than Jerry, we really kind of had everybody healthy. And then really within the first 2.5 quarters of that game, Jamarcus Brown, re-injures his leg and is out for the season. Jaden Stewart, injures his leg and is out for the season. Kingston McQueen, a 2-way guy for us, pulls his hamstring and is out for the season. And so, here we are really, getting to the bye week and really having to totally rethink almost everything that we do. And I think our players deserve, so much credit for the resolve and the resiliency that they showed. And like you said, handling adversity. I think that's something, if you have kids that play sports, you realize, a huge, purpose, I think, in youth sports and in high school sports is it teaches you how to deal with adversity. And I thought this week against Smyrna, we had the best week of practice I think we've had all week. John, it was 10-0. We have about a 6-minute drive to start the third quarter. We get down, a completed pass on the 2-yard line, and Dallas Johnson, one of our junior receivers, extends out and tries to get it, tries to score. and it was a bang-bang play, and I thought his knee was down. Looking at film, I would say it's 50-50 at best that it was a fumble, but it's 10-0, and we extend the ball to try and score, and it rolls into the end zone, and they call a fumble. And so I think, we would have had a lot of momentum there at 10-7. Their quarterback all night completed 2 passes, one of which was a pop pass on a jet sweep, and so we really wanted to put the game on their backup quarterback's hands, and unfortunately he really only completed 2 passes, and so for the most part I felt like we were able to do that, but I felt like that call was really kind of changed the entire complexion of the game, and I think Smyrna deserves a lot of credit for really being able to win the game, out executing us in special teams, like I said, with the block punt, and being able to run the football, but outside of one run, I thought we did, okay, and not allowing them just to win the game in that regard. But, once again, I think, our guys fought, and we weren't victims, John. I think that's one thing when you have a few injuries, it's easy to become a victim and find reasons why you can't get the job done. But, that's not what this team was. We fought until the end. The next guy up, definitely stepped up throughout the season. Guys like Braden Brown, Kamarion Hill, Dallas Johnson. We had multiple guys, John, that did not come off the field. Special teams, offense, defense, and when you play teams that have depth, that really shows up at times. But really proud of the fight our kids showed, not just Thursday night, but throughout the entire season.
Yeah, we're talking to Ben Caudill, the head coach of the Stewart's Creek Redhawks. And Ben, one thing that I noticed, really, and you just mentioned it, a lot of teams could have folded up the tent, and said, gosh, we've had so many injuries. And you as a coaching staff could have said the same thing. You said, well, this is one of those years. But you didn't do that. And you had some wins during that time. And, again, you had some injuries late that kind of cost you, I think. But, wow, I mean, just staying together and fighting hard. You were in every game. And then you had a couple of wins in that length of time too. I know you got to be proud, and I want to talk about the quarterback a little bit too, that the backup did such a good job, and really I don't think he was expecting that to happen this year.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And John, this is life. It's high school football is a microcosm of life, and sometimes you work really hard and things go your way, and you're playing in the quarterfinals and really only have 1 or 2 guys injured. That was the case last year. And, this year, you work even harder. Your coaches, you prepare and work just as hard. And you're a shell of who you were when you started the season. The first 2 games, we're scoring a whole lot of points. And, the middle of the Siegel game, our quarterback gets hurt. And, middle of Rockville, our running back who had 9 touchdowns in the first 3 games gets hurt. And, you just got to find a way. You got to find a way to persevere. You got to find different and creative things to get the job done. And, you mentioned RC. He's definitely one that, as a junior, John, was thrust into the starting position. And, he played against 4 Rutherford County playoff teams. And I'm just telling you, John, looking at the 6A bracket, some of these schools, if they were in our region, I don't think they even win a game. And here they are, they're playoff teams. In other reasons, Cookeville High School, for instance, great high school football program. They lost to Siegel to open the season, and Siegel doesn't even make the playoffs in our region. Right. So I think that says a whole lot about, the teams we go up against week in and week out. And, for RC and all these guys to, be put into this position where they've got to, be in a position to start and somewhere that they weren't when the season started. I think that's going to be huge for our program. We graduate, a right tackle that's going to play college football. But, John, I'm telling you, offensively, I think we can be just as good, if not better, at every single spot on offense next year. All of our ball carriers, all the guys that catch the ball for us are coming back. We bring back several linemen, bring a quarterback back now with a lot of experience. And so, if there is any silver lining to what took place this year, it's that guys were able to really see what it's like to play against, the best teams that 6A has to offer. That just coincidentally happened to be just inside our county.
I know the locker room probably. I know what you said to them, and I know it's got to be tough, but yet I know you're very, very proud of them. What did you say in terms of next year, or did you mention anything about next year? Because I know they're going to want to get started pretty quick after this year. They're going to want to get going, and I think they're going to have a lot of purpose.
Yeah, I believe you're correct in saying that. To me, when your season does come to an end, I try to make it all about the seniors, and what they've done and how much they've poured into, what we've been able to do, to me, until, we will begin lifting and doing things to prepare for next year, here pretty quickly. But to me, really, until we have our, end of the season banquet and awards night, I try to, really monitor that balance, I think, as a coach and honoring those guys that, have really just given you everything they got, poured their heart and soul into your program. And, so to me, I think that's the balance you got to have as a coach there in the final moments and the final time you really get to address them all with your pads on.
Well, Coach, good luck next year. I'm looking forward to seeing the Stewart's Creek Redhawks. I know it didn't go as you wanted it to go, but, gosh, you guys showed a lot of heart and a lot of courage, and congratulations to you and your coaching staff on a great job.
Yeah, John, I appreciate it. Really excited to, once again here turn the page and go meet with Dr. Harrell here this coming week about something I'm really excited about that can be big for our program. And, I think we learned a lot, as leaders, as coaches this year, and we've got to get back to work, and we've also got to honor a group that's really done a lot for our program, and really proud to be a Red Hawk, really proud of the support that we've always had with, all the parts that come together and make Stewart's Creek a very special place with great leadership. Dr. Harrell, Todd Harris, our game day administrator, is second to none. Our athletic director, Jeff Mitchell, and how he supports us. He's coached football. He understands, what we need and how to support us. Our band with, our directors, Chester and Burton, and our cheer and everybody that just comes together. And sometimes you just think it's about football, but John, as a former principal, a lot of things go to make it, what it is and make it special. And those are all people that mean a lot to me, mean a lot to our community and our school. And I want to thank them one last time, and also thank you guys for your coverage and your support and for how much y'all value high school athletics. And really means a lot to me to know that, we're in a community where this is a big deal. And I want to thank you guys as well for the last time this season.
Appreciate it, Ben, and I'm going to look forward to seeing you and your kids a little bit older next year. They'll be just a little older, won't they?
Yes, sir. I hope you get healed up as well, John. It's good to see you this morning.
Hoping to also as well. That's Ben Caudill, the head coach of the Stewart's Creek Redhawks. This portion of the show brought to you by State Farm agents Andy Womack, Dana Womack, Celeste Middleton, Alex Williams, Ron Reeves, and Emerson Williams. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. We'll be back talking Rockville football when we get back.